Hello and welcome to Gamer Radio Zero. I'm the host, Mike Lasco, also known as Gamer0, and I'm here with Rodney Thompson, who's the associate designer on the Star Wars RPG at Wizards of the Coast. Rodney, thanks for coming on the show.
No, it's a great pleasure to be here.
So we had a big announcement with 4th edition, and everybody's kind of excited about that. But sort of the side effect of that is that there's a lot of kind of the mechanics that, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going to go in the direction of 4th edition in the Star Wars Saga role-playing game that came out a couple months ago. And, you know, you're a guy in that product, so what can you tell us about that?
Well, it's actually been a really interesting process designing this book, because when I was designing it, I was still a freelancer out of house. And this was a year ago, right? And the whole time we were designing it, we kept getting these little things handed down from Chris Perkins, who also worked on the book with us. And I'd be like, wow, that's a really amazing thing. Yeah, this is great. Wow, how did you think of this? This is wonderful, right? And I saw all kinds of products coming out of Wizards that I was like, wow, that's very similar to what we're doing in Saga Edition. Wow, that's crazy. How did this all happen? And then I get into the office 6 months ago to start working full-time at Wizards, and the first thing they tell me is, oh, and by the way, we've been working on 4th edition. So I was like, aha! That explains everything. Yeah, so it was really great that the whole time they were working on 4th edition, I can tell that they were coming up with these ideas, and like, yeah, let's see how this works. Oh, let's see how this works. And eventually, Chris was cherry-picking the best ones of those ideas and said, you know what, let's test this out in Saga Edition. And then it fell to Owen Stevens and Gary Sarley and I to kind of take those new philosophies and twist them into what would eventually become the Saga Edition role-playing game. So it's really been a great process, and I've gotten to see a lot about how group game design works, just by everything being handed down from R&D, and then we turn it into this, and then now when 4th edition comes out, people are going to look at that and say, oh, here's obviously where they started testing these first ideas, and here's where these philosophies started to finally come into their products. So it's really been exciting.
Yeah, and it's been very well received.
Yes, extremely well received.
You know, I mean, the product's been selling great. People have been really giving it a lot of good reviews, which I know is making the D&D guys sort of
a little jealous. No, I'll admit it. It's great.
See? Mm-hmm. But you know, but on the other side, now with the 4th edition, it's like people who are really kind of want to, you know, kind of get a preview. Here it is. They can pick this up and see some of the, you know, kind of the direction we're trying to head.
Certainly, a lot of the concepts of 4th edition are already in Saga Edition, right? A lot of the philosophies are already in Saga Edition. For example, we've made a lot of noise about the redesigning of the encounter creation process for 4th edition. And for Saga Edition, we wanted to think of ways to create exciting Star Wars encounters. Very high energy, high mobility, high action, diverse enemies. And a lot of those things, you know, people they were looking at, you know, this is fun stuff, right? Star Wars is an exciting, fast-paced game. There's some elements that, you know, that D&D will benefit from as well.
Right.
So I think that there's sort of this, you know, this ping pong back and forth of, you know, oh, we want to make exciting Star Wars encounters. Well, now we want to make exciting D&D encounters, right? So it's been really cool to see how Star Wars has actually influenced D&D a little bit as well.
And so there's a little bit of, like, you get the D&D guys and you have the Star Wars guys, and I think there's a lot
the Star Wars guy.
Nerf weapons involved, and, you know, kind of guns pointed at each other, so
it's a friendly competition, if anything.
They haven't thrown any brains at you.
They haven't thrown any brains at me yet, no.
Brains at each other, so.
It's been a friendly competition, and the other great thing I have to say is all the guys on the D&D team have been wonderful to work with. I have to especially say Stephen Rodney McFarland has helped us out a lot in development as well.
Right.
So it's been really nice.
So that's one of the things that happened when I was interviewing at Greenwood, is people just kind of walk in front of the camera like
I noticed.
Nothing's going on. I guess those guys are just talking over there. Why don't I walk in front of them?
Oh, we're having a friendly chat.
So, but you know, so at least people know that we're at, as Ed Greenwood said, he's like, well, at least they know we aren't like faking it like the moon landing and just kind of, you know. Yeah, they are at Gen Con because you can see these people are walking in front.
That's right, and it's been, you know, this booth is packed at all times anyways. So.
Right. So, so you guys have basically, it seems like you come out with a product about every other quarter?
Actually, basically what's happened is the Saga Edition book has come out already, and they brought me on to design full-time, so there's a bit of a delay in the time that the core book comes out and the first supplements come out.
Right.
Now, for next year and later this year, we have a very robust schedule that I'm really excited about, products coming out with a decent amount of frequency, definitely more than once a quarter. We've also
Okay.
Yeah, that's just now for books. You're going to see about 5 a year is what we're shooting for.
Okay.
But then you also get things like Galaxy Tiles and the Game Master screen that are very necessary or very exciting for the role-playing game, but aren't necessarily source books or campaign settings.
So what's the next thing we have coming out?
The next thing we have coming out is Starships of the Galaxy. It's designed by myself, Owen Casey Stevens, and Gary Asselford. Owen is, of course, a longtime Star Wars veteran, and Gary has been working on the now Emmy Award-winning Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing game line. So really excited about that. I've got the text back for the book. It's wonderful. The art is gorgeous. It's basically a big book of everything you could ever want for starships and space combat. So we've got new combat maneuvers, new character creation pieces, new talents, new feats, stuff like that. But then the bulk of the book is actually a massive Starship Codex done in monster manual style, where you have a entry takes up a full page. It's got great art, text or stats, and then descriptive text down below. So essentially, a game master will be able to take this book, lay it open on the table, and then build exciting starship encounters and have everything laid out right in front of them like that.
So when is that going to be coming out?
That is December. Yes.
December,
yes.
So that's a good Christmas present for oneself. They're into this sort of thing, right?
Absolutely. I know for a fact that several of my friends and relatives back home will be getting starships for Christmas.
I bet. So, and then after that, we'll probably see stuff maybe February after that?
We have the Game Master screen as scheduled to come out in February.
Okay.
And then later in the spring, I believe it's March right now, is the Force Unleashed campaign setting, or campaign guide.
Right, and Force Unleashed is going to be pretty big.
Yeah, now we got the miniatures come out in November, which is the preview for the game, the Force Unleashed game.
And that's going to be really the first time people can see any of this Force Unleashed stuff, right?
Absolutely. We have, I believe, 12 characters that are exclusive to Force Unleashed that people are going to be able to see what these characters look like firsthand. And if the stats reflect what those characters are like in the video game or in the novel, that's another good way to preview what's coming out. So then we've got the campaign guide coming out in March, which is really more my forte. That was once again Owen Stevens, myself, Sterling Hershey, and Peter Schweighofer. And Sterling and Peter are both veterans of West End Games Star Wars systems. So basically pulling in the old and the new, trying to get a great mix that fits what all Star Wars fans want. And so Force Unleashed is going to be cool too, because it's all about the Empire. It's all about what it's like to live in the dark times and live in this monolithic empire. And it's going to be really, really fun.
I kind of like that side of things.
See, there's no rebellion, right? So you're on your own, right? If you defy the Empire, you don't have a secret rebel base to run to. You've got to establish it yourself.
Right.
So it's pretty exciting because the players can really make a difference in the campaign setting. Whereas in the Rebellion era, it's a little bit tougher because you have Han and Luke and Leia running around.
Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And then we revealed a few other secrets in our seminar. We got a Threats book coming out next year, which is sort of a monster manual style book. And without giving too much away, we're going to be talking a little bit about the oldest knights in the Republic, if you catch my drift on that one. So
all right.
I'm really excited about that one too.
When you guys are able to talk about that stuff, you're going to come on the show?
Absolutely, anytime. You see, the great thing about this show, Gen Con, is that I get to interact with the fans, and we get to have these seminars where I'm like, you know what, I've had this stuff under wraps for 6 months now, and now I finally get to tell you about it. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the show.
All right. Rodney Thompson, Associate Designer on Star Wars Wizards of the Coast. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks, Mike. It's been great.